how would you define wealth today? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Candy Valentino Show. Thanks for tuning in today. I am so excited to bring you another one of these episodes. And if you're saying, what does she mean? Another one? That means you didn't listen to last Monday's episode. So after you're done listening to this one, go back and check out last week's. It is so good. I've been wanting to do this type of format for just a handful of episodes because I think there is so much value in the signature questions that I ask our guests. And if you've been listening to the show for any period of time and you listen the whole way to the end on our interview episodes, you'll know that I ask one of two signature questions. And I typically decide which one I'm going to based on the direction of the interview and which one I think that the guest is going to give you the most amount of value from. So today's episode is going to be a mashup of the signature question that I ask the most successful people in business, the most successful investors, and I say to them, what does wealth mean to you? Now, the reason that I think this is such a critical question is because I think when we come from a place of lack, a place when we don't have a lot of wealth, there is really only one definition that I find most people that have not acquired wealth really defines it as, and that's having a lot of money or a lot of assets. But when you talk to people who have already achieved a level of wealth, and have already achieved a level of success based on what society tells us success is, I think that their answers are drastically different from what we've been taught that wealth is. There is so much wisdom and value in this episode. And if you don't get to the end of my episodes normally to hear this signature question, this is your reminder to make sure that you listen the whole way to the end because there is so much power in the signature questions. Let's jump in to some of the best responses we've had to what is your definition of wealth.
For me, wealth is my family, my relationship with God, and whether or not I have whatever role you're put in, whether it's business, public service, as a father, a mother, have you succeeded in that role? If you have, you're a wealthy person. I mean, wealth is not we attribute wealth to money, but many of us choose to take different routes. I could have easily have been in business, had many opportunities to go down the business road and make money. That's not what my soul called to do. I felt a calling towards something else. So for me, wealth, and I talk to kids all the time about this, I think wealth is really just becoming the best you that you can be. It might be money, it might be a successful career, but whatever it is, your wealth that you take from this world. I have gone into many homes and pulled many dead bodies out of homes and off of traffic places. And do you know what you never leave? You don't even leave with your wallet. We take that from you because we need your ID to tell us who you are. Nobody leaves with their wallet. So wealth is certainly not money. Wealth is what have you done here in this life? And whatever responsibility you were given, did you do it to the best of your ability? So for me, that's wealthy. So I consider myself a wealthy person. I can stand in a room with billionaires and millionaires and feel equal to them because of how I view the wealth that I've been able to achieve in my life.
I think there's nuances to this, obviously, but I would say first and foremost, I would start with fulfillment. I would have to start with fulfillment because I get to meet a lot of people, as do you, who have a lot of money. And I actually don't really care how much money you have until I actually know how did you get that money. And unfortunately, a lot of people that I meet and I see out there who are even wildly celebrated on social media, that have all these raving fans, if those raving fans knew how they made their money, what they did to make that money, I don't know if they'd be such raving fans anymore. So for me, it's all about fulfillment. Like, am I fulfilled first? Because like wealth, I would say more than anything, and this may sound a little bit too woo-woo, but I would say first and foremost, wealth is a feeling. Wealth is probably more of a feeling than anything else.
I love that. And everyone will kind of define their feeling a little differently.
I've traveled the world a little bit and I've been places where kids had nothing and they were super happy. So I would say first and foremost, like wealth is like a feeling, like, and to me, like I would tie that to like a feeling of one, fulfillment. And for me, fulfillment means like, I know I'm good. Like I'm in right standing with my God, right? Like, so first and foremost, I personally, this is me, there is no such thing as wealth outside of the lordship of Jesus. If I do not feel like I am and right standing with God, which is righteousness, then nothing else matters. There's a lot of memes and people talking about this. It's true. It's like, oh, if you win in business but fail at home, you're a failure, which I wouldn't disagree with. But to me, it's like, if you can be winning in business, winning at home, but if you're failing with God, like if how you're doing it isn't, then, so I would say, like, for one, it's like just having that knowing I'm being of service, I'm contributing, I'm adding value, I'm growing in wisdom. Even Jesus had to grow in wisdom, says in Luke 2. I think that to me is most important. Having a wealth is a really more than anything, it's a feeling and it's a mindset. It's being able to actually look at the world and interpret your life experiences through the lens of that. So that way you can actually make different decisions. And then, of course, then there's the practical aspect of wealth, right? You know, wealth can be the ability to transact, right? The ability to transact. Wealth, I would say, is having the power to create outcomes and results that you want. If you want to take a year off, having the ability to be able to kind of implement and act on those desires, those dreams, those passions, and giving back. So being able to, the ability to do that is kind of more of a natural way how I think about wealth. Everything first starts in the invisible realm, and then there's a corollary in the natural.
Wealth means to me at this point in my life, freedom, big time, and enjoying the fruits of my labor. I was raised in a house where there was no money. So it's like there wasn't a savings because we didn't have any money to save, but also from a bigger generation where you're supposed to save all your money and, you know, or you're supposed to do this with it or that with it. And yes, I believe there's a lot of truth to that, but I also believe that money is meant to be used. And I read a book recently, Candy, I think you'd be fascinated by it. A hedge fund guy wrote it, but it was called Die with Zero. And his whole thought perspective was, how do you use your money, even if you're giving it away to your children, and even if you're giving away to philanthropy, how do you use your money while you're alive and while the people that you love and that you want to impact are alive to make the biggest impact possible? And it's really given me a different perspective on wealth as you're living. I think that we think about generational wealth and wealth as like this thing that I'm going to build, and then one day when I'm dead, my legacy will get it. And he kind of flips that whole thing around and gives a lot of really good strategies on how to do that and to essentially die with zero, which is just a funny title for a book. So that's really what wealth means to me in my life right now. Freedom and flexibility to work the way that I want, to be with my family the way that I want, and to really use, you know, the money that we've made, my husband and I, to experience life. And that's been really fun.
Well, wealth and success, my definition is a little surprising to a lot of people since I talk about money all the time. But wealth is really, success is how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. Because wealth is a way of life. Wealth isn't necessarily just money. And so are you creating a life of significance, a life of impact? What's your legacy? Because our legacy is created every single day with every heart you touch. And so to me, wealth is your legacy of life. Have you lived a life of grace? Have you lived a life of contribution? Have you lived a life that attracts other people to want to emulate you? And that's true wealth.
Such a great answer.
Start every day understanding, turn off the negativity. And it's a reinforcement that you're perfect, you're wonderful, and every one of them I end up with you saying, I am fabulous with me. And I say, yes, you are.
Oh, I love that.